Today, I'm going to be talking about Bloons Card Storm because they recently teased the 1.2, the 2.0 update for the game, and I have issues with it because I think it's not just gonna not fix the game, it's going to make it worse. Because this game has bugged me for a long while, for the reason that is, uh, I was one of the people who was called on to beta test the game when they did their big public betas. I was part of both betas, and guess what? I was disappointed by the game's full release for a multitude of reasons, which I'm going to go over. So first off, um, progression. Progression is the biggest issue in the final version of Bloons Card Storm because you compared to the betas, both the first look and fully playable betas, uh, you have less cards in your starter deck than you did in any of the default pre-made decks in the first couple of betas. You have less options available to you, which leads to this issue that the first beta had, where you not having options led to certain strategies being too strong, such as the pink balloon, which in the first beta was exceedingly strong because the owner only counter to it was tack shooter on one specific deck. Uh, this got remedied in the next beta by more inclusions of defender towers and options to counter incoming balloons, options to heal or create shield against pink balloons. Now, these options do still exist in the final game. The issue is you're never getting them because of the fact that the card progression is so terrible. See, when you win a game of Bloons Card Storm online, you don't get rewards for winning. You only get rewards on level up or by completing feats. Now, these rewards will take a long time to even be able to get one card, which has the issue of normally you want three of them to max out your stack. So one card in your deck isn't going to do much. And this leads to more issues with the progression because, well, when your default starting cards really suck, like there is no late game, there is barely a mid game. You need to get Super Monkey or a BFB to even have a chance, and you can so easily be screwed over by this. But um, it's hard to get new cards because of how they've set up the progression system. But also, if you want any of the stronger cards, they're ludicrously expensive. For example, Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter in both betas was part of default starter decks you were given. Sharpshooter in the final version of the game is exorbitantly expensive to even get one. So you don't have these mid game options that you had in prior betas as much. The only thing you'll have is if you used a code that they gave out on launch, you'll have a Necromancer. Great. Uh, so you don't have many options for play, which also leads to the issue of the game gets stale really fast because you and all opponents are playing the same strategy every time. Quincy became meta in the game, and I saw a lot of people talk about Quincy's meta in Bloons Card Storm, but I think the real issue is the reason he's meta is not because he's objectively better than everyone else, but because the starting card set is so tailored to one specific strategy, which is a rush strategy, because the towers you get are very, very weak. Super Monkey is the only mid-game option you have, and you only get one of them to start off with. You're getting a lot more balloons that are a bigger threat in the mid-game, as well as the Storm, which in previous betas was not really a threat and was just a pressure tool to get players to play the game. Uh, it, it is now a threat in the final game because you can't defend against the balloons the storm even sends you. A lot of games are lost because you just got the bad turn order, so you started getting rushed with heavy balloons early on. So of course, all of these issues are pretty bad. But but the reason why Quincy is such a strong strategy is a lot of this is tailored to his ability to defend and ability to rush better. Same with Amelia, who's also really strong, if you even unlock her to begin with. Uh, Oben and Gwen being more defensive strategies are kind of tougher to work with because you don't have very good defensive options to start with. So, uh, so for the 2.0 update, they announced ranked, but they're not announcing too many changes to the progression system, which is my biggest issue with it. I'm hoping in 2.0 they make good changes, but I think ranked is just going to cement the game's death even further. It's already performing not very well at the current time. Uh, but this is recorded about a month after the game came out. Uh, but I feel like a big issue here is a lot of hope was lost for the game because I was a person who, even when the online services for the beta shut down, I still played the single player levels, which, by the way, the single player levels have been entirely demolished in this final version of the game, unless you buy a paid DLC. Uh, that only introduces one level pack. There's probably less levels to play than you had in the beta, though I'd have to double check. It might be about the same. So, it feels like the game has a lot less kind of incentive to play it anymore compared to the betas, and I really feel like something was taken from me there. Now, I have suggestions on how to improve this. Uh, see, my idea is, since is to help with the progression, first off, make winning the game actually reward you. The fact that it doesn't reward the player is so dumb, and they're only rewarded on feats or level ups. Like, even a small reward would be so nice. It would do a lot for the game. Next off, the starting deck needs huge changes. Like, seriously, you need more cards to start off with. The current starting deck is abysmal. You have nothing to work with. I think if you don't want to improve the starting deck to give more options, even if those options are more tied for the first beta, I think unlocking a new hero, you could potentially give them a deck that they start with, similar to Plants vs Zombies heroes, that unlocks a couple of new cards to go along with it that are tailored to their strategy, which allows players to learn what the hero's strong suits are. Um, I think this would also help because right now, as I mentioned, cards are super expensive. It's only worth it to save up for strong cards, which really sucks because there's a lot of weaker cards that are no one's going to ever go for because they're so when all the cards are so expensive, even the weak ones, why would you go for a weak card that's too pricey for you when you can just go for save up for a strong card that's going to be even more pricey but is at least going to actually be worth it in the long term. By the way, I need to say too, with the card tokens they have, holy crap, card tokens are stacked to primary and military towers. I have gotten barely any magic ones. I have no support ones. And it's not like these categories are stronger or like have an advantage. No, you just don't get them because why would you want to enjoy new things in the game instead of playing with the same strategy every time? It's really saddening because I expected a lot from this game. I think it needs huge changes before they try and push a ranked mode, and I don't think this game is going to receive that. I think this game is going to end up dying out, unfortunately, before it before it's actually, you know, received before it's properly set up to be good. And I think even if they do go back and make the game more pleasant to play and less grind and less of you're doing the same thing over and over again and fighting the same opponents over and over again, I feel like that would improve the game also, just by a lot. And I also am totally not mad that the game's RNG feels really crap to the state of my win rate is like 2 to 45, as in I have won 2 games. It's it feels like I've played against bad opponents who I've seen make terrible decisions and still lost because the game refused to give me any defending or attacking card because your options are so limited in terms of those compared to powers. Anyways, that's all I have to say.